Deanna Wright, and I am a trustee for the Clark County School District, and I am proud to represent the largest constituency here, which is the children of Clark County. They look to me and to our state legislators to help them get the funding they deserve for teachers in their classrooms, and more importantly, to build new schools. SB 175 is not what we should be focused on. It sends the wrong priorities from our legislators. It is the wrong value statement to our community. And more importantly, it is actually dangerous for our children. We see examples all over the Las Vegas Valley of citizens taking the law into their own hands. We have a very real example that just happened a few weeks ago, where a mom in Summerlin was taken away from her family. Cases like this would become more commonplace if SB 175 were to pass. We ask our legislators to say no to this bill and to continue to focus on the future of Nevada and the future of this community, which is education and our children. Thank you.
She said she represents my children. I'm fairly confident she does not represent.
All right, next we have Pastor Menchaca.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm Dr. Joel Menchaca from Amistad Cristiana Church. I've been a member of this community for 35 years. I have seen this town change in both positive and negative ways. I come to say to you today that passing SB 175 would be a step in the wrong direction for our community. As a matter of fact, we do have the police force that have been trained how to detect what is good and what is bad. And sometimes when we take a gun into our hands, we might be making the wrong decision. We might be killing someone that we don't know what is going on. Take, for example, if somebody wants to take my car, and just because he's getting into my car, I shoot him. I don't know if he's trying to get away from somebody that's trying to kill him, and he takes my car. I have a police department that I can report to, and they will go get my car sooner or later. But the way I see this law that's trying to be passed on, it would be hurting my community, hurting my people, hurting our youth, hurting our kids in school. This bill gives individuals more responsibility or less responsibility than the law or the police department. We should vote against this law of 175, SB 175. I'm urging the community today to vote down the extreme bill. Vote no on SB 175. Thank you.
Next we will have Erica Washington from the Las Vegas Urban League. Good morning. My name is Erica Washington. I'm the Director of Development for the Las Vegas Urban League. I am here to read a prepared statement from our President and CEO, Kevin Brooks. The Las Vegas Urban League is the largest community action agency in the state of Nevada. We are also one of the largest affiliates of the National Urban League, one of the oldest civil rights organizations in the country. We see thousands of Clark County residents annually, residents that need and want assistance in finding their pathway to success. We as an organization are concerned because SB 175 will take vital tools away from our community and make our neighborhoods and families unsafe. We have worked hard here in Nevada for more than a decade to create a community that trusts and respects each other. While we have some ways to go, this bill would frankly halt many of our efforts. We embark on honoring the anniversary of Trayvon Martin's tragic death tomorrow. We must embrace the lessons that we have learned and lead the way to create laws that, again, empower our citizens. SB 175 takes an already onerous stand your ground law and turns it into a shoot first and ask questions later type of state. This is not who we are, nor the type of community we want to live in. SB 175 will disproportionately affect the underserved urban communities of Nevada, which are majorly populated with Black and brown minorities. The events of the past few years legislators across this country illustrate the fact that communities of color continue to experience a different kind of citizenship, one that precludes them from the constitutional protections that are granted to other citizens. SB 175 encourages more deadly shootings by expanding the already dangerous stand your ground law that makes it easier for individuals who kill another person to justify their actions. This will force authorities to take the shooter at his or her word, regardless of how unlikely their version of events may be. SB 175 also cruelly prevents shooting victims and their families from being compensated for injuries like medical costs, the pain and suffering, even if they were innocent bystanders. We are excited to see the number of people gathered here today to have their voices heard, and be assured the Las Vegas Urban League will continue to lead conversations that ensure all voices are heard on every issue that affects the community's well-being. The Urban League has a steadfast commitment to empowering our community here in Nevada, and we are asking our legislators today to say no to this bill. Thank you.
Finally, we have Caitlin Caruso, who is a student here in Las Vegas.
Hello, as Jocelyn said, my name is Caitlin Caruso. I'm a high school student here in Las Vegas, and I am more than familiar with violence. SB 175 scares me. It is paraded as a bill to protect victims like my mother and myself, but in reality, throughout the United States, similar laws do the opposite. Stand your ground laws have been proven time and time again to work against our most vulnerable, including women, LGBTQ folk, youth, and communities of color. We see cases like Marissa Alexander, who fired a warning shot in a stand your ground state to fend off her abusive husband. Instead of being protected, she was persecuted by the law. On a more personal level, my mother suffered the same here in Las Vegas. When my father hit my mother and she fought back and defended herself, she was arrested and carried away to jail, leaving my older sister with the exact perpetrator of that violence. SB 175 would allow for out-of-state domestic abusers, stalkers, and child abusers to carry their concealed weapons here in our communities due to automatic reciprocity. My father lives in a different state now. What does that mean for women like my mom? What does that mean for victims? I am terrified that expanding these laws, allowing for the very people perpetrating these crimes to carry concealed weapons after serious offenses here in Nevada or elsewhere, allowing them to carry these weapons on our campuses, I am scared that these consequences of these pieces of legislation will be far too dire for folks like myself. For the writers of this bill, our stories are used as a political tool. For the victims of violence, the reality of guns being used against us is too real to let this bill pass without a fight. The plethora of bill legislations proposed this session to expand the ability for abusers to carry concealed weapons is terrifying. SB 175 is one of those. Allowing for more guns in our communities will not protect us. Statistics show the exact opposite. A study from the Harvard Injury Control Research Center found that the more guns there are in a state, the more likely women are to die violent deaths from unintentional shootings, suicides, and homicides. When I was 13, I was raped. Speaking about it is still one of the hardest things I can ever do. Every time those words pass my lips, I see my rapist with his gun, and I envision my funeral. I envision my mother crying over my casket, just as many other mothers have had to do for their babies. And I see laws that are unwilling to provide me justice. Sometimes quantities don't show the true impact of what legislation would do. But I want all the legislators up in Carson City to look at the faces of this legislation. Look at my face. I am a victim. I am a survivor. I am the one you are supposed to protect. My rapist's gun rights do not deserve more protection than my life does. Expanding stand your ground laws and allowing out-of-state abusers to carry guns through SB 175, allowing guns on our campuses through AB 148, these pieces of legislation will have real consequences for myself and others like my mother. I need you to stand for me. Stand for survivors. Propose real violence prevention legislation like Senator Debbie Smith has. SB 175 is not that. SB 175 could put me in the ground. Please stand with me.